Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Robin's Nest. Today we're going to do something a little different, something I've never done before, actually. I'm going to make a prediction on the Japanese Grand Prix this weekend. I've never made a motorsports prediction. It's so difficult to make one because there's so many factors that go into it. It's not like with football or something like that. It's relative. Well, it's not easy, but it's easier than a motorsports prediction. But I'm gonna go big or go home. That's my motto. That's how I live my life, on the ragged edge. So we'll do that, and I want to talk about RLL Racing Motorsports, Bobby Rahal's team, a little bit. So make sure to like, subscribe, leave a comment, turn on notifications, share this video, tell your friends. We've got over 300. I don't know the exact number. I don't remember what it was, but over 300 videos with racing content, hours and hours of stuff. So tell everybody, go check it out. So let's get into it. So news broke yesterday that Jay Fry is the new president of RLL Racing. And for those who are not familiar with RLL, they have 3 IndyCar teams. I know for a fact 2 IMSA teams, the 2 BMWs in the prototype class. And they've been around for a long time. Graham Rahal drives their flagship car, the number 15 in IndyCar. And Graham is the son of Bobby Rahal, team owner. And they've kind of fallen on hard times over the past couple of years. They've had some decent runs here and there. I know Christian Lundgaard did a really good job in the 45 past couple of years. This year he's with McLaren, but up until that he had some pretty good runs. I mean, he won a race in an RLL car. So it's similar to what I've talked about on this channel before with Greg Biffle and Petty Enterprises, is that the cars have speed. That's been proven. You just have to have the correct personnel. And I think Graham is a really good driver. But, is he still up to the task? You know what I mean? And that's not a dig at him. I mean, he's got a lot of stuff going on off the racetrack. And I saw an interview with him the other day where he was talking about the media. He lashed out at some of the folks in the media for saying negative things about thermal and the race not being good and all that kind of stuff. And I think you need to just stay in your lane. Like, yeah, I'm with you on the media not portraying things appropriately and trying to sow division and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I agree 100% that they do that. Sure. But I feel like as a race car driver, you should probably, just kind of tune all that crap out, And if you're not, then maybe if you can't tune that stuff out, then maybe focusing on driving is not. Used to the expectation for a race car driver was you have one job, and that job is to drive your race car and drive it to the best of your ability and tune all the noise out. Because if you don't, then you're distracted, and it's going to hurt your on-track product. I mean, that's just a fact. And nowadays, it's not like that. Everyone wants to focus on other things, and the fact of the matter is that Graham has not been running great. I know at Indy he struggled to even make the Indy 500 the past couple of years. If Nolan Siegel hadn't have choked last year, then Graham wouldn't have made the race. So, but anyways, I think Jay Fry is a good addition to the team. I met Jay when I worked for Rick Hendrick. Super nice guy, sharp as a tack, no nonsense when it comes to work. It is laser focused. Jay used to work in NASCAR, worked for MB Motorsports, worked for Red Bull, and then he's been working for IndyCar for a number of years. He was working for IndyCar when I met him, and so yeah, I think if you're gonna hire anybody to right the ship, that was a good person to go after. So good for them. Good for them. Can't wait to see what happens. Hopefully they turn it around and get those cars run up front. I also think too that they're running 3 cars, and maybe for that team, maybe that's too much. I don't know, but I'm just spitballing here. But I think maybe cut down to 2 cars and go that route as opposed to 3. Yeah, who knows? Maybe that's tit for tat. But anyways, I'd love to see that team do well again. I'll never forget, I'm pretty sure it was Texas that Graham won a number of years ago, where he was celebrating before he crossed the start-finish line with his hand up and just about lost the race because I don't remember if it's Scott Dixon or who it was that come alongside him, and Graham barely nipped him at the line, was too busy celebrating to notice. That was pretty cool. So anyways, Graham's a cool character. It'd be nice to see him running up front again. So on to Formula One this weekend, the Japanese Grand Prix. So there's been all this talk, obviously, about Liam Lawson and Yuki Tsunoda switching rides, and whether Yuki is up for the task, is up for the challenge to drive a car that he's not had any experience in. The extent of his experience in that car has been sim time, and that's not the same, obviously, as being in the race car. It's just not. So, I think Liam's going to do well in the Racing Bull. It's less pressure, and he's relatively a rookie. I mean, I know he had 11 races or whatever under his belt before the season started. He's relatively a rookie, so I think he's going to do well in Racing Bulls. I think he's going to come out this weekend and he's going to run with Isaac Hadjar, however you say his last name, the other Racing Bulls driver, who's also a rookie, by the way. But anyways, I think Liam is going to be on the same pace as Isaac straight out of the gate. And I think Yuki... So my wife and I were talking about this the other day. What if the reason that they did not want Yuki in that car, the reason they kept glossing over him and passing over him, whatever, is the fact that they are afraid that he's going to be on pace with Max. Now, he may not be faster than Max straight out of the gate, but if he's on par with him and Lord forbid he finished, let's say, a spot in front of Max, we already know from experience, this has been tried and true tested, that Jos Verstappen is going to flip his you-know-what. It was a year or 2 ago when Sergio was winning races, and I don't remember, forgive me, but I don't remember where it was at, but I think Sergio won a Grand Prix, and Jos absolutely lost his mind, claiming that Red Bull's giving Sergio preferential treatment over Max, which is insane, by the way, because when Sergio was hired, he was hired as essentially a stopgap. Now, they had several Red Bull rookies in that car, and none of them were working out, and so they needed the experience that Sergio brought with him to kind of gauge where they were, and then he did good straight out of the gate in that car. But Sergio was never going to be the future of Red Bull. He's essentially, and I say he is because I believe he's going to be back next year, probably with Cadillac. But he's in the twilight kind of era of his career. He's got more years behind him in Formula One than he does in front of him. And it was like that when he was hired at Red Bull. Max was always going to be the future of Red Bull. So obviously they're not going to give Sergio preferential treatment over Max. Max is the face of Red Bull. Like it or not, he is. And so, if Yuki comes out and starts running with Max, it's going to be a similar thing from the Verstappen camp. So I believe this weekend in Japan, I think that Yuki, I think he's going to run with Max. And I wouldn't be the slightest bit surprised if he outruns Max. Like I said, he's going to be handicapped a bit from not being in the car and not being familiar with it. You know, he did an interview today where he was talking. He's been talking with the engineers and stuff, and they've been getting a rapport built, you know, with one another. So, yeah, I think Yuki's going to surprise a lot of people this weekend, because you got to think he's been with the Racing Bulls for what, 4 years, and the only reason you're with the Racing Bulls team is to get a shot at a Red Bull in a Red Bull. You don't stick it out that long. Is it maybe something else? No. You're with Racing Bulls for one reason and one reason only, and that is to get in a Red Bull car. So now that time's come, and I feel like the mindset's going to be, look, this is what y'all have been missing out on for the past few years. This is what I could have done 3 or 3 years ago. But y'all chose to go a different route. But see, y'all had a champion in waiting. And I would love to see a Japanese driver as the face of Formula One. You know, taking the place that Max had, or taking the place that Lewis had. That would be really cool. It's never happened. You know, there's been Japanese drivers that have run good or whatever, but it's never been a consistent thing. And so that would be really neat. I love Japan. Okay, it's not like a personal thing for Yuki, because I really don't know much about him, but I love Japan. I love Japanese culture. I love everything about that country. So I'm biased. I'm going to pull for Yuki no matter what. So I hope that comes to pass. But that's my prediction this weekend. I think he's gonna run top 5. At the very least, he's gonna run top 5. I also think that both of the Haas, how you'd say Haas plural. How about both the Haas cars are going to run in the points, top 10. Which, by the way, if you haven't seen those cars, they are absolutely gorgeous. They're running a special livery with the cherry blossoms. And, man, it's smoking. Absolutely smoking. Which, by the way, also they're running a special livery for the Red Bull team. That looks really good. Might be I don't know. Have to see what it looks like on track. I don't know if it'll be confusing with the Racing Bull or not. It may not be, but they're running a white livery on the Red Bull. I think it also looks good. But I'm excited, man. I haven't been this excited about a Formula One race ever, to be perfectly honest. I like Formula One, but it's, you know, for the longest time, you kind of knew how Formula One Grand Prix was going to play out before you watched it, before it started. It was like that when I was a kid, when Schumi was smoking everybody. That's one of the reasons I didn't really watch it, is because, I mean, you know, what was the point? You kind of knew. Up until the late teens, or not the late teens, the late 2000s going into the teens, you kind of already assumed that unless something happened, Schumacher was a shoe-in for the win. So, and then you got into the teens and the hybrid era, and Mercedes was unstoppable. So, I mean, it was either going to be Lewis or it was going to be Nico, unless something crazy happened. And then later on, Valtteri. But that's certainly changed now. I mean, you really don't know who's gonna have the car when they show up to just smoke everybody. And I love it. I love it. That just adds to the excitement to see what happens with Racing Bull as a whole this weekend. So, anyway, stick around. We've got a little clip here at the end I wanted to show you guys. I thought it was pretty cool. So, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Make sure to like, subscribe, leave a comment, turn on notifications, the works. We'll see you next time. Appreciate it.
És 100 fölfele. 100 fölfele, jobb 2 tempó, 20-ra bal 2 tempó, 25-ra bal 2 tempó, 25-re bal 2 szűk, bal 2 szűk, és bal 2, és bal 2, majd 50-re jobb 2.
Hinchcliffe is way up high with Rahal pushing it. Rahal looks to the outside, and here comes Pagenaud again back into the mix.
This is going to get really, really close. These guys are almost wrecking. Last lap.
1.5 miles to go. Hinchcliffe is still in front. Rahal behind him, edging just in front of Kanaan. Here's Pagenaud. Those four on the lead lap, racing for the win. Rahal down to the bottom. Rahal to the front around. Graham Rahal has taken the lead on the final lap. Can Hinchcliffe battle back? Kanaan still in the mix. Rahal and Hinchcliffe to the line. Graham Rahal has won at Texas Motor Speedway on the last lap pass of James Hinchcliffe.
Graham Rahal started to celebrate, but Hinchcliffe was right there. 0.008 of a second. I felt like Graham had his hand up a little too early, but he just held on. What a finish.
He did the perfect over-under. He worked the high side, and when the door opened up on the bottom, he cut to the bottom and sliced inside of Hinchcliffe and beat him by literally a hair. And that was it. That was old. Going for the high side. He sliced to the bottom right here and then pushed Hinchcliffe up the track. And as they came off of turn 4, Hinchcliffe started to get the run again with the draft coming onto the straight. And he just moves him up the track, and he's already celebrating, but it's not over.
Oh my.
Look at how close that was. I told you, Graham, you put that hand up, you pick up about 5 pounds of drag. He almost lost that thing by celebrating too soon.
Is he doing his own version of Usain Bolt? Wants to look over at the guy in the other lane?
Well, I promise you there was a smile on his face just like Bolt. Let's have another look at how close this finish was. Here you go.
Wow.
That's close.
0.008.